Welcome to the Perfectly Sane Show, episode 696. I am Chris, as always, joined by Tony.
Let's celebrate by drinking a lot. And what are we celebrating? Who the fuck knows?
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
I just opened up this Loco Lime lager brewed with limes from Fiegley's. Somebody got me this for my birthday.
Happy birthday!
Yeah, it was 2 months ago. Jeff is here as well.
Yeah, just don't celebrate too hard because there's something I was thinking about today. Is like if you fall out of a window, you're only going one direction.
Wow. That is true, Jeff. In that one direction,
Too soon.
Down. No,
Oh, man.
it's proper. That is the right amount of time. It's maybe in ill taste, but
we don't know even what like
It will never be in good taste. So
No,
I mean, maybe now's the right time.
I mean, obviously, sad thing that happened. I didn't, I'm not what direction fan.
I think he jumped, didn't he?
yeah,
We don't know. I don't know.
I remember reading that he jumped.
His wife or ex-wife or ex-girlfriend had just like kind of written something accusing him of abuse very recently. And
Yeah, but he also had posted a video like earlier in the day and he was fine. I guess he had like a crazy substance abuse problem and
yes.
The hotel was calling before he like jumped or fell, being like, this guy's fucked up.
Yeah.
And when they did the medical examiner or whatever over there was like, he may have been unconscious when he fell. Like, so I don't,
Yeah, he could have fallen over the balcony
just
or
fucking shit faced drunk and passed out standing up or something. I don't know. Else down near the railing.
so,
I don't know. Who knows? I don't want to say it's suicide if it wasn't.
oh, absolutely.
As I was the one making jokes here at the beginning.
Yeah. We don't know what happened to the guy from One Direction, although we do know that he went One Direction, as Jeff said.
Wow.
Earl is here as well.
Earl missed the beginning of the joke.
I think I got this. I think I got the gist of it. I thought we were better than TMZ, but I guess not.
I didn't post a picture of him.
That's true.
We didn't have one.
Shit, did they post a picture of him? Like,
Yeah.
Oh,
guess.
wow, that's horrible.
Yeah, part of his arm or something like that. From yeah.
It's one thing to be like shitty and crass, like we just did, but wow, like to just be like, hey, here's a photo of him. He is dead, and we're gonna photograph that and publish it. That is shitty.
I think what I was trying to get to, it was not trying to be a mean spirited joke. It was just
Yes.
shock value.
No, and it was it. Yes, I mean the name of their group was One Direction. It works. Ill taste, but as Tony said, there's maybe never a right time for it. So, like,
You want some 9/11 jokes?
You got more.
No.
Okay. Earl, welcome.
Thank you. I feel like I don't need a comment because you folks have already ruined it for everybody. So howdy.
Yeah, so we're here. We talk about games and stuff sometimes. I am a little less coherent than normal. I apologize. So I'm gonna try and hold it together.
That's right. You're like your coherence is still above Jeff's.
Yeah.
So.
Thank you.
Yes, even when we've done full on drunk cast where we've done shots on the show, I do believe I've maintained a level of ability to at least host and flow the show that Jeff has passed out. So
Hey, you passed out once, I remember.
Did I?
Yeah.
I think he didn't pass out so much as he fell asleep. I think was
He was like, I don't know what the deal was.
It was so
way
boring
back.
that there's Chris snoring. He's probably going to get to that episode.
You'll hit it.
That's
You'll hit
gotta
it soon,
be-
Chris.
That'd be amazing.
There's just a part. All of a sudden, you just hear Chris snoring, and everyone's like, "Oh, he was quiet for a second." Like, Chris?
I think you woke up too during the episode. Like you fell asleep and then woke up later.
Unlike I don't know if so Earl, this is well before your time, but you know Sean, he's in our group chat, and
Yeah.
he used to host a podcast. We'll say he used to co-host a podcast. They lasted about 9 episodes. Those episodes were about the entire runtime of all 696 of our shows. But their 10th or 15th episode, they had like all their friends on, and I was on that show, and Mark, who does like what I do here, like kind of like do the flow of the show. He had drank so much he passed out.
He was so drunk, and he kept saying the same things over and over again.
And at one point, he just stopped, like because he was gone. He just had passed out completely. I got to talk to Sean. Maybe we can post those old Teabag Radio episodes as well. There weren't many of them, and they are hysterical.
Yes, they were classics, all of them.
But yeah, we're back. There's some news this week. There was an Xbox showcase today. I don't think if you did not watch it, you maybe did not miss anything. There wasn't a whole lot announced out of there, outside of like there's the Alan Wake 2 DLC coming, and that's about it. There was maybe some like little games here and there announced. Only 5 of like the 20 that they talked about are coming to Game Pass, so that's a little concerning. One of the ones Jeff liked, Animal Well, he played that on. You played that on PlayStation, Jeff?
And Switch.
On Switch. So he played that on Switch earlier this year. That is coming to Xbox. It's actually out now.
Is Game Pass or no?
Not Game Pass. So, and also, I don't want to touch the Xbox version of it because they have stupid fucking achievement values.
Oh no!
Oh really?
Yeah, like 8 points. Actually, there's a couple. There's a couple that are
Oh yeah, because you care
35.
about the number.
Yeah, I like the 0 or the 5, and they have 8, 1s, 6s, 2s, like 4s. So unless you get them all, it's not that. I don't know. If I play it, I think it's still available on PSN. So if I do get around to it, that'll be where I play it at. But
it's cool. I unfortunately never finished it, but if it popped up on Game Pass, it would probably entice me to like start it again.
Try it out again.
Yeah.
But I did over the weekend when I traveled. I did start Legend of Zelda: Echoes of Wisdom, which I believe Earl and Jeff have played more of.
Yeah.
You would hope so.
I hope, yeah. But more than me, at least. I have played through
who
the
knows?
tutorial.
I was gonna say, I don't know what you did in a week. You could have beaten the game 3 times over. Who knows?
I only played about 2.5, maybe 3 hours. Which way did you guys go after the tutorial area?
I think Jeff and I went the same way, which is the Gerudo Desert.
Okay, so that's where I went to. Okay.
Yeah, I mean you could do it in either order, but I don't
think it
I
matters.
think geographically it's closer.
Yeah, that's how I viewed it, and also it looked like maybe a slightly smaller rift than the one that was north.
Well,
yeah, I don't think I think you could totally go the other way.
Yeah, you could. I mean, you could go either way. You could go either way. It's just like I think once you do it, like geographically, when you look at it, I think it's closer. The dot looks closer, and the other one because you have to go over the body of water. At least my thinking was I needed something to go over the water. And
It's like, well, yeah. It just you path of least resistance type thing.
Yes, it's the same thing. I mean, I don't know, but I feel like it's the same thing with the. I mean, spoilers. There's a midway point, and then after the midway point, it also breaks off until you can go in 3 different directions. And I feel like that one has a bit more variety in which way people did it.
So after you beat the Gerudo Desert, and then I believe that the north one is the Zora, so that's the water people. After you beat those 2, that opens up 3 more dungeons.
Yes.
Okay.
Was it 3 or 4?
It opens up 3. There's a midpoint dungeon, and then after that midpoint. So it's the tutorial
Okay.
dungeon.
Yeah, you're right.
2 midpoint dungeon, 3 final area. So I mean, it's like the 8.
Earl, did you beat it?
Not yet. I got to the point I think you were talking about where it's like, if you do this, I don't think we can come back. And I'm like, I
Yeah.
don't know if I'm ready for this game to be over yet. So maybe I'll go back and do some other stuff. But I'm at the final, not the final boss. I assume it's the final dungeon. But I'm like, I still want to enjoy my time. I'm sure you can go back once you beat the game, right? Or is it like,
Once you beat the game, it loads you up at the point of no return if you want to play
Okay,
more. But
okay,
it's like you
okay.
did. It's like you didn't beat the game. Like you could just.
Okay,
There's nothing.
that's good to know.
Unfortunately,
Continue
there's no
on from
like. Yeah, but like unfortunately, there's no like.
New game plus essentially.
Yeah, new game plus or like sort of extra thing that you get for being it. Literally, just like you load your last save file before the final boss.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've liked what I've played of it. I did the tutorial dungeon. I have not started the big dungeon in the Gerudo Desert yet. I've kind of like I did like the 3 rift areas. And, oh, we can't get into this rift. We can't get into this rift. And oh, we can get into this rift. And then you go in and solve that piece. And then once you do, then you find out like the main, what's it like that? The court, he's like the counselor to the king of the desert people. He's like one of the imposters. And then they're like, all right, we're going to open up the temple for you. That's where I'm at right now.
You're like right at the first real temple.
Yeah, because like the first dungeon is really just like a tutorial dungeon.
Yeah.
But so far, yeah, like I think it's really neat. Like you can approach things very differently. Like I think you guys were like, hey, we're spamming like the little bat people. Like I like to. I only had 3 of the. Your little glowy guy. He has these little triangles that are after you, and each of them indicates how many, how much it costs to spawn
summon
somebody.
Yeah.
So like some like the bats are only like 1, but then there's like a guy. He's armored up and he has a big axe and he costs 3. So like that can cost like a lot more because I'd only have 4 at this point.
Yeah.
So like I'm spawning one of him and then like running around to behind the guy and like spawning a snake or a bat or something.
What's cool is not only will you gain more like triangles or whatever they are that trail you, but like as you like level up or whatever, like some of the summons will cost less. Like they'll go from being 5 triangles to 4 or whatever.
Oh, really? That's neat.
Yeah. So the level ups, there's 2.5 types of level up. There's one that's very particular. You get one, I forget if it's like level 3, which is kind of the you can project them. So if you hold down Y, you can shoot them in a distance instead of just having to spawn them right in front of you. It's not too far of a distance, but
don't forget that though, because like I know
I forgot about it. Oh.
Sean got stuck on puzzles because he forgot you could do that. It's the type of thing. It's like it happened to me sometimes where you just forget a basic thing you could do in the game. And you're like, that's duh.
Yeah. And then every other one is either it's going to decrease the overall cost of certain types of echoes or Tri gets an additional one. I think ultimately, Tri levels up to level 11 or 12. So you end up with, I think, 6 points and then a bunch of stuff. Like at some point, you'll be able to spawn like I can spawn like the mobiums. I can spawn the level 1. I can spawn 6 of them. I think level and then there's some that you'll get that are like 5 or 6, and those are really big ones. And there's always a trade-off because like the axe dude does a ton of damage, but his attacks are so slow.
Yeah, they're slow.
So like if it's a fast moving enemy, he's just useless. Then other ones like there's a level 3, like he'll jump and everything, so he's really aggressive. He's great to have out there. But again, the same issue with airborne animal creatures. He can't get there. They also aren't the smartest people at times. I've had some fall into quicksand and lava, and I'm like, you can just not walk in there, but sure, you do you.
Yeah, so like I was struggling a little bit with in the Gerudo Desert. There's like this large area that has quicksand, and it's like there's a chest up there, which I found I don't necessarily like the chest because all that's in there is generally money, which is fine, like whatever. But I was like trying to figure out how to get to this chest, and I was like, the beds aren't working. I can't jump high enough. Like I don't have enough beds. And it really I just had to keep progressing a little bit, and then I got like a platform that goes up and down. It's like, oh, okay. So like you're gonna get things that kind of solve problems if you just kind of like poke around in the environment, and do some of the 2D areas, and like maybe you'll get a spider that allows you to work, like works as an elevator in those 2D areas where you cast the spider, you jump on the spider, it lifts you up. It's neat. Like I think everything about it is pretty cool, and the most absurd thing I think, Earl, you mentioned this last week, where you can just like sleep in the bed and it'll like redo your hearts for you, refresh them for you. I've been in like battles where I'll like throw out some echoes and then cast a bed in the corner. Zelda's just sleeping,
Yeah.
getting her health back up while her echoes are off fighting in the corner against the enemies. Absolutely nonsense, but I love it. It's quite funny. Yeah, so I'm enjoying what I played of that. It seems like you are enjoying it, Earl, as you're right at the end as well. And Jeff, you finished it, so yeah, quite fun, quite nice. Good little Zelda game. I really do enjoy 2D Zelda, and I think this one's a nice addition to that
It
that
really
library.
is.
Jeff, you play anything else this week?
Let me think. I played more Diablo, so I don't know if you guys even care to hear anything about that.
No, did anything more happen in Diablo, like in the expansion piece? That do you guys advance further in
You
that?
just start to notice, yeah, we're advancing, and you just like notice more of what the different, like just how much the game has changed. Like, and again, I don't know how much of it is I think a lot of it is just the season. Like the whole like difficulty has been changed completely. Like it's just like it's not even there's no world tiers anymore. It's just different difficulties. Like, okay, well, what was that all about? So it's like, when you beat the game before, you could get nightmare dungeons, and then you were like, actually, I don't even know how that works now. Again, like you have to like relearn so many things, but like, yeah, the world tier shit is like doesn't exist anymore. It's just I'm playing on hard. I started my character on hard.
So they've just gone back to normal, like normal
Like,
difficulties.
it goes hard, and then something, and something, and then torment 1, torment 2. Okay,
So that's yes, standard Diablo difficulty level.
yeah. It's just like, why do you guys keep like messing with this? It sucks because like you get into it one way, and I'm sure some people are like, this is better. It's different. It's like it makes things feel fresh, I guess. Progressed a little bit into the main story, like the campaign of the DLC, but we got I don't know what the fuck happened, because like we put it on hard difficulty and we were like cruising along just fine, and now it's like really hard, like insanely harder than Diablo has ever been to me, and I'm only playing on hard, which is usually super easy. And like to the point where it's like even like individual little fucking shit enemies, like I have to pull out all the stops just to kill like one little enemy. I'm like, what is going on here? Is like my game broken or something? And I'm like starting to wonder if there's like it's because there's a disparity between her and my level, because I am getting close to Paragon and she's only like level 34, but I don't know. It's hard now to the point where there's been a couple times where we went all the way through a dungeon, got to a boss, and fought it like 3, 4, 5 times. and still just come up short, and she'll just be like, I give up. And I'm like, if we give up, like, we're fucked. Like, we have to do this whole fucking dungeon and all this shit again, right? Like,
Right.
But she gave up on one the other night. I went and did it on my own, and I thought it was actually like satisfyingly challenging. So the boss was like, he was invulnerable unless you brought him into the light. And so like there's like these 6 braziers around the arena, and you have a lantern, and you have to like go light them and try to like drag him towards them, so that when he steps in the circle of light, then you could like start attacking him. But meanwhile, there's like evil spirits going around, like putting up the fire out on the braziers, and once they do that, they could like start like attacking. Like they like leave red lines along the floor that you have to dodge. It was very hard. Like the boss took me about, I don't know, like 20 minutes to beat. Like I was like, and you're like sweating because you're like, if I had one wrong move, and poof, I'm gone, and it's over, right? Like, so it was actually pretty intense. But I thought I thought that was like an interesting way to make a Diablo boss. Like you couldn't just like go on cruise control and fight it. Like you couldn't just hold down your buttons and not think and dodge around. Like you really had to like work to fight him. And there was no way I could have done it without this new thing in the game, which is that you could hire a mercenary, which I think is completely new. Like you could basically like hire a second player, which is just a computer player to help you. And so like I was doing all the bullshit, keeping the the lights lit while like letting him get a shot in here and there, and me running in and get a shot in. But like if I didn't have him with me, I would have just been overwhelmed. So I don't know. Yeah, that's about it. It's surprisingly hard, and I don't know if it's something like wrong with me or what, but we'll see. I'll keep playing it. I'll report back to you.
All right.
The only other thing that I've played that is like of note is a new game called Mario Party Jamboree.
Is it out already? I mean, I guess
It's out already.
It's out tomorrow.
I was playing it last night.
So, or day early for Jeff. Tell us about this new Mario Party game, which is getting decent reviews.
Yeah, I mean it's solid. Like, so it's hard to have a very like strong opinion about this, as I've played 2 games of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's solid, but like the thing that I find like weird is like how highly it was reviewed, when I thought that Mario Party Superstars, the last one, was amazing. Like I think it's like really a good Mario Party game for the most part.
Which also reviewed, I think, very similarly though, right?
Was it really that high? Like I don't ever recall Mario Parties getting like 9 out of 10 or 10 out of 10. Like it just seems crazy to me. So far, I don't see it. Like it's good.
So Superstars on OpenCritic, Superstars scored about 79, and this new one is scoring currently an 81. So about the same.
Okay, all right. Well then I could see it, because like like my main like thing here is like I thought the last one was also super quality, and I would recommend that to anybody. Yep. But if you want a new one, this so far seems like very high quality. I've only played 2 games. One I played by myself, which kind of blows. And one I just played with my wife right before we came on here. And so we've tried like the 2 easiest boards.
Mm-hmm.
And the one cool thing that I would like, probably the coolest thing I would note so far. I mean, there's different things every board and every game, like, different bullshit going on, but like also different items in this, like where it's just like, there's items that seem to be specific to that board. So like the easiest board has an item you could buy from the item shop that places you like literally like 1 square in front of the star. So it's just like, it's basically like, it like really levels it out the game of chance on the easiest board, because if you could have that item, you don't have to worry about like working your path towards a star on the board. You just fucking use the item and you're right there. The and it's very basic. Like I don't think that's the thing is like I don't know. I'm just I guess I have to play it more to see. But like I'm just like, what is so amazing about this? Because like the first board is like very simple circles and just there's just not a lot to it. And the second board is kind of that too, but it was like it's kind of like a Mario Kart track. And the item that was specific to that, or one of the items that was specific to that, is you could like drop these traps for people where if they land on that square or that space, it would steal coins from them. I thought that was, I just like that they're like, it's almost like, it's not like one board game. It's like 5 different board games that you're getting.
Yeah.
There's just little differences between them. Other than that, there's a plaza you could go to between games, and they added an achievement system. There's like a full achievement system in the game, so like achievements pop up while you're playing it. It feels like very much like playing on Xbox, except that means nothing. It's only in the game,
right?
Nothing.
You do get rewards and stuff. Like they're giving you like money to spend on merchandise in the plaza, and you unlock stickers and this and that. And I don't know. Again, I haven't played enough of the game to be like, is that part of it rewarding? Like getting the stuff? I don't know. Like like are there more boards I can unlock? I don't know. You know what I mean? Like that would be super cool. But
well, how many boards did you start with?
It looked like there was 4 or 5, which I believe would be a lot similar to the Superstars, right?
Okay, so there's 7 total. So you do unlock 2, I guess. I assume they started to do the Mario Kart thing. I think the 2 finals are from like 1 and 2, which also
okay.
But so at this point, there's been, what is this, the 13th, 14th 89 one?
That sounds right.
I don't know. It's been a lot. There's been some really bad ones. I've always kind of liked the series, but I really feel like I was like very impressed by Superstars, and then this one so far, like, it seems just as good. There's all sorts of like, especially when we were playing on the Mario Kart track or the board, like it was like so like. Usually everyone rolls their dice, they move their spaces, and at the end of everyone's turn, there's a mini game. But we were running into so many mini games on each turn. I felt like I was playing like 2-3 mini games on each turn, like just people landing on spaces, and this pops up, and like tonight when we played, one thing we landed on was like Wario hosting a quiz show, and he'd be like, he show you 4 different things, like which one has the most enemies in it, or what, whatever. Like which is the shortest piranha plant? Like, they show like a piranha plants coursing around an arena, and then you'd ask you which one looks like the shortest.
It is the 13th mainline game.
Yeah, so there's plenty of like picking 1 and 2. Like some of them, I'm sure more than others, of course. Like the N64 ones are the golden standard for a lot of people, and then you run into the case of like, I think 6 or 7 introduces like the 8-player stuff, and then I think was it 7 that has the mic mini games, and I know 10 has like that the car that everybody hates. But yeah, there's enough that you can kind of go back and like pick stuff and still do something new every so often. I think that was the biggest issue with the original one on the Switch, Super Mario Party, which is I think people wanted DLC for it, and they thought that's what Superstars should have been, and that's kind of been the road.
I think the for me, the biggest issue for the first one on the Switch, like, and it's a huge issue, and I hate it. Like, I don't like that game anymore. Is that you had to play with the Joy-Cons?
Yes.
All the motion stuff. Yeah, I don't like that at all. That's another thing I loved about Superstars. They like did away with all that bullshit. You're just playing on a controller. Unfortunately, this new one actually has a whole motion island, where you can play like only motion mini game. I guess if you're into that, this is a plus, but to me, it's a negative.
How so? I mean, options are never a bad thing.
You can You could totally avoid that one though, right? Like,
Well, because if you're playing a regular board, motion games are mixed in unless you go into the settings and turn them off. So
okay.
unless you, I left them on because I know that the open it, and once I did that, it like brought up a screen on the Switch telling me to like press the buttons on my controller to choose which controller I'm using, and I had to use a Joy-Con, and I was stuck, and I was like, I don't want to do this. I couldn't get back to the home screen, and I had to like fucking restart my whole fucking system and all this bullshit because I do not want to play with the Joy-Con. I do not. I want to play with Pro Controller. So in order to play with a Pro Controller, you have to turn those motion mini games off, which I think is bullshit because the Pro Controller can pretty much do the motion that the Joy-Cons can do unless I'm wrong. Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't really love that.
There's no IR sensor with the Switch, so it's just really gyro stuff.
Yeah, and the Pro Controller has that, so I don't get why. I'd say the other drawback, and I just know this from reviews and whatnot, or I watched IGN's review. Like Superstars, what it did is it took mini games from the entire series. So you're talking. They got to choose from mini games like over 20 years of a series. So like you're getting the cream of the crop and you're getting a massive amount of mini games. And here I think they're all like originals. So it's less. And then maybe some of them are, I don't know yet. Like the ones I've played so far are all pretty fun. But maybe some of them are not like that great. And like Superstars was just like, here's the best of the best. And
you do that so many times. I mean,
and the flip side is the ones here are original, right? Like you haven't played these before, so yeah. And so far, so good. Like I'm happy I bought it. I think the series has really like righted itself with the last two entries, and this one seems super quality. But I can't say more than really what I've said so far without playing it more to dig into like whether the rewards and all that are worth it. Also, I don't know, Earl, if you've ever played this as like a solo game, because like it seems like a game that would not be super fun to like go through by yourself. But
yeah, I heard there is a single player mode though.
I mean, you're able to do it. You're able to play the game just all CPU.
Oh no, but I heard there's actually like a single I think maybe closer to like I don't know what it is, but people said there isn't because yes, you could play. You could always play it with just 3 other CPUs, which is sad as hell.
Yeah, and it's just boring. It's just kind of like the fun of Mario Party is like everyone kind of like laughing and fucking with each other. And against computer players, yeah, it's just a very sad sight. I did notice there is, I think there's like a mode that is like a online co-op type mode. I have not checked that out yet.
I think there's an online co-op mode, and it's like their kind of version of like Fall Guys, which isn't Fall Guys. But
I think that's what I think it's separate.
Yeah, there's 2. There's one where it's like a bunch of people taking on like a fake Bowser, and like you do stuff and do mini games to get items to shoot Bowser and stuff like that. And then there's another one which is kind of like a track and field
like
where you're
Fall
going
Guys.
around.
Yeah,
and like if you win mini games, you advance views. Depending on your position, you fall backwards, and it's I think whoever crosses first.
And you can play, you can play a game of Mario Party online, which I think you could do in the last one. But it just, I think Earl kind of like we've kind of touched on here, like what maybe why this is getting such high reviews, because it just feels like very fleshed out, very like blown out. Like let's do the best Mario Party that we can, like get as many like modes and features as we can into it. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, it's solid. Like I can say so far, like if you like Mario Party, like yeah, you're gonna have a good time. I was like surprised by how positive all the reviews were, and I did not remember it like Superstar scoring this game because I was like, this is how I felt about the last one, But yeah, it's good.
Nice. Earl, did you play anything this week?
I don't think so. I mean, more Zelda, more. Yeah, I've not played anything. It's been a hectic week.
That's fine. Tony, anything on your end?
So I hadn't played anything until a couple of hours ago. When I decided to try something new just so I'd have something to talk about on the podcast.
Right.
So I fired up Mechwarrior 5 Clans.
Oh yeah, just hit Game Pass.
It hit Game Pass yesterday, yeah.
Shit.
Its predecessor is like also on Game Pass. And I bought that game at launch on the Epic Store. And got stuck and left it behind.
Okay.
And every once in a while I'll stare at it. I'm like, I should play that game. I like Mechwarrior.
That was Mercenaries. Like
Yes,
it was a
Mercenaries.
while ago too, like 5 years ago. Like
Yeah. But like, getting stuck in the tutorial and being unable to finish.
It's horrible.
So I played other things. And every once in a while it's on Game Pass. I'll look at it. I'll be like, I should try that. And it's also like, it's not just a PC game. It's also an Xbox. We play it on either, and I should make myself do it, but I can't. But this game is new. It's fresh. So I'll give it a shot. So I fired it up. I installed it. It didn't take very long. And I finished installing it like 9 o'clock. Of course, we start recording at 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
I started playing the game. The game starts with a 15-minute cutscene. Yes, that is my response. And the acting is something. It's classic sci-fi bad acting, where one of the characters gets cussed out for using a contraction. That's not the clan way, apparently.
Like they said, can't.
Yes. And it is, I swear it is written into the dialogue, like so many things that could be contractions but aren't. And it sounds so weird. But eventually I did get to play at least through the tutorial of this one, which you are able to complete, by the way.
Good. That's always a plus.
I did make it through the tutorial. You are the head of a star of clan mechs in the game. So you're like in command of these 4 other mechs while you are also walking around in your mech. Which I thought I have a vague recollection of being able to like order other mechs around in the previous mech games. I don't remember it being this easy. So it's easy, like in 2 buttons, you like give all the mechs in your star like the order to follow you around or attack this target. So that part, I was worried about that because it looks super complicated from some of the videos that I'd seen about the game.
And so, some of those Mechwarrior games, like the older ones, are complicated like that, like where it's just like there's a lot of buttons you have to remember.
There's a lot of buttons and like things like messing around with. I always like to tell the story about how like I built the mech in Mechwarrior 3. I thought it had awesome stats. It looked great. And then I like lined up for a shot. I pushed one button and my mech exploded. Because I'd done all the heat wrong, so it generated so much heat that it just blew up. There is that sort of element of putting weapons on your mech and building it and designing it in this game. I haven't gotten to it yet though, so I'm not quite sure how complicated it is.
Okay.
The game itself controls really easily though, which has always been an issue with Mechwarrior games. Like the control schemes have been quite hard to find their way through. But the mechs move really naturally and really fluidly, and it's easy. I'm using a mouse and keyboard, but it's easy to like spin your mech around and see everything, and everything feels really natural and really good.
That's good. Yeah, because as you said, like those games can be like way complicated to control.
Well, you see the people getting like the custom control sets and like the huge like giant thing. Yeah. Like you don't need all that. So
because on some level, Mechwarrior, at least early on, like when it started through probably the early 2000s when I think Mechwarrior 4 or so came out. Those were, they're not simulation games because mechs don't exist, but they were
Right.
simulation games. Like,
Yes, trying to be a simulation game.
yeah.
So I made it through the tutorial. It seems pretty good, but like it's really hard to judge a game just by the opening.
Yeah.
I will say as a tutorial, the clan guys are really like rough on each other, and like the actual tutorials, like you like in a fight with a bunch of other clan guys trying to kill each other. it's it's pretty brutal. I seem to remember some of the other games, like something would happen while you were out on your training mission and you'd end up in a fight,
Mhm.
but it wouldn't be against your allies. So, it's like a dog eat dog type situation. So I'm interested to see how that all pans out.
How's it look?
It looks fantastic, but
Okay.
I was playing on my PC. There's probably a oh God, why is my brain not working? I need to update my video card.
Okay.
There's probably something because I was getting some stutter that I would not have expected because I don't think it's that graphically intense.
Nice. Maybe
But
you just need some driver updates or something.
yeah, that's what I was looking for. Because it looks great, but it doesn't look so great that my computer should have trouble running it. So I'm hoping it's just that and not something else.
All right. Well, I'm glad it's looking good so far. So
Yeah. I mean, I needed something to play. Like I kind of got depressed a little bit when Assassin's Creed got delayed because that
yeah.
was like the game of the fall that I was really super looking forward to. And like there's a bunch of other games where it's like sounds fine, but it's not Assassin's Creed. Like
Yeah, like,
Dragon Age Veilguard sounds fine.
That's like the next big game up until indie, right? Like, I mean, I
Yeah.
guess Call of Duty is in there somewhere, but that's a different type of game than like what we
Yeah.
normally play. So
Yeah. So
yeah, Veilguard completely different from Assassin's Creed vibes. Like,
yes.
although I'm hoping Veilguard turns out good.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I'm definitely getting that. I'm definitely playing that. But.
Well, I hope Clans turns out good for you.
It was a nice surprise. Like I didn't even know there was a Mechwarrior game coming out till a few weeks ago, and then I was like, well, the last one's on Game Pass, maybe, and then they announced it. Yeah, okay, you can play that.
Nice. All right. Well, we talked about Zelda. As you guys know, I like my achievements. I participate in like the activities and community events on True Achievements, that website there, and they're running their Trick or Treat event currently, and what that is basically like, treats are, they give you a list of 10 achievements that you haven't unlocked, and you could pick one. If you get that, you unlock that one, and then tricks are like their mini versions of their monthly challenges. So I've been working through that, and in doing so, they've been, hey, you unlocked the game. Here's an achievement you need to get in Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, the 360 version.
Oh, okay.
So like I haven't played. Jeff and I played the remastered version of GTA last year. I think it was last year or the year before.
Yeah.
And I played 3. I think Jeff, you played some of San Andreas.
I think I played mostly 3, and it felt so old.
It does. Now try and play. Now San Andreas was had advanced a little bit from 3, considerably actually. Like narratively, gameplay wise, it all felt a little better than 3. Go back and play 3 though on the 360, the 360 version of 3, that re-release versus the remastered version, and you're gonna be like, holy shit, how did we play these games when they came out? Because it does not have the upgraded I think
Controls.
3 Vice City and San Andreas remastered have like the lock on and the upgraded controls, so it feels a little more modern.
Moving a camera.
Yeah, the moving the camera. San Andreas on the 360 is fucking rough, bad. Like, and I bet it plays exactly like if I were to pop it into my PS2, how like that were to play. It's just not how games are played today. Yeah, I thought I should mention that one because that one's super rough, and that was one that came up. It was like, hey, here's one of your list of valid achievements. Can you get this? I'm like, oh, this one seems pretty easy. I really just need to go and go get a tattoo at the tattoo parlor. But while doing that, I was like, I'll do a couple missions or whatever. It's like that's rough. Like it's hard to shoot in that game. It's hard to do anything.
It's crazy how like those games were so groundbreaking.
Yeah.
At the time, and now they feel like archaic. You're just like,
oh absolutely.
No. Yeah, I would honestly like probably maybe one day I'll play through San Andreas and Vice City remasters, but that
and like it's funny that you say archaic because like when you think like archaic, like like the original Nintendo Atari games, like, and it's like this feels worse than some
you'd rather
Nintendo and Super Nintendo games because
That's
those games have great controls, like they're fantastic. And this was the era where they're really just learning to play with 3D, and we're learning how to work with cameras and stuff. And
I know some people will kill me for this, but like it's part of why I don't replay Mario 64 that much. It's just, I'm sorry.
That was the case with All-Star Collection, right? You're right. It's like, yeah, great game for the time, but no.
Absolutely. One of the other games that they kind of like threw at me to play was Limbo. There was like some achievements there. They were like, hey, you can get this. And I had played all the way through Limbo. I played through Limbo multiple times, both on the 360, and then they released that HD version. I mean, I guess Limbo on the 360 was the HD version, but they released it on the Xbox One as well. And I got quests, like we'll call it quest or whatever, to like get achievements in Limbo on the 360 and Limbo on the Xbox One. And damn, that game is fucking good. Like it's really, really good. I never went through and so a lot of the achievements, and I think Tony, you did some of these back when the game came out, was like getting the little like secret eggs.
Oh yeah.
That's where most of the achievements for these games are from, and like I did not get any of them maybe I got 1 or 2 on the 360. So that's why I have a bunch of achievements still open on the 360 version. One, game's not long, so it doesn't take that long to get to those eggs. So I've been doing that. That stuff's fun to kind of like, oh, look, I never did this. I just played through the whole game. I didn't do the exploration piece. But the one I got in Limbo on the Xbox One is after you get all the eggs, there is an achievement there's a secret exit on level 26, and they don't label them like level 26. It's just there's you can go to chapter select, and there's a bunch of them. You go to the 26th one. There's an entire level that is almost entirely in darkness, and you have to platform based on sound. And it's actually phenomenal. Like it took me probably like an hour to complete the level to get the achievement, but you'll come across there'll be enough light you see like a saw blade come across, but then the next area the light will go out and you hear the saw blade, so you have to kind of time your jump to the sound and then run to the next area. And then you don't even have the light coming into the area, it's just you hear the saw blade. And there's a bunch of different setups like this where it's, hey, we're going to introduce a challenge for you, then we're going to kind of make the challenge in darkness, but we're going to give you a little bit of heads up, and then it's just do it in darkness based on sound. like I did not know this level even existed. It actually
Yeah.
skips 8 levels. Like when you get to the end of this little darkness level, it actually goes from level 26 to level 34, I believe. So basically, it jumps you to the end of the game, and it's fucking awesome. Like this thing that you can only unlock if you have all the eggs, and it's this super hard level that they've done based on sound. It's just mind-boggling that game came out like 10, 12 years ago. Like, and I just stumbled across it. I thought that was really neat. And then the one new game, I guess it's not super new, but we're playing it for one of our other podcasts, VG Club, and this was picked by Ben. It's a game called Solar Ash. Have you guys heard of this one? I think it came out last year.
No.
So it is a action platformer, 3D open, kind of like open area. It's not open world, but it's like open area. Like you'll go into an area. They're all linked together, but the area itself is very reminiscent of what was that? The Mario game that came out with alongside 3D World. What was the Bowser?
Bowser's Fury.
Bowser's Fury. So it's like the areas are like that, where it's, there's these basically levels that you have to go do, but they're all interconnected. And once you do that, then you unlock, like in Bowser's Fury, you'll unlock Bowser and you'll fight Bowser. So like in these levels, you'll do these little things and then you'll unlock this big boss. And the big boss is like they've taken these like 3D platforming areas and then intersperse that with Shadow of the Colossus. These big giant bosses that you're climbing up and hitting these weak spots. But you have to do it with speed, because as you jump onto the boss, a timer kind of kicks in. And if you don't get to the next weak point before the timer is done, it'll throw you off the boss and you'll have to restart it. So you're doing these boss battles. They're not really boss battles because you're just hitting the weak spots on the boss, but it's these long levels on these giant behemoths where you're platforming across them to hit these weak spots. And you have to do that like 3 times, like a Mario level. So they've taken like these weird Mario trappings and mixed it with Shadow of the Colossus in this like weird sci-fi setting that I think works really well. We'll have a whole podcast on that on the next VG Club. Probably in early November, I think, is when Dex set that up for. But I just finished it. I was like, I'll just start playing it now. We got a couple weeks, and I finished it in basically 3 sittings. It was just that much fun.
Is it short then, though, or?
It probably took me about 7 hours, 6-7 hours.
Okay.
So like I sat down, would play for like 2.5 hours at a time, and then in 3 settings I was done. And I was like getting up to the end, and I was like, I should just you know what? I should stop for the night. But I'm like, right there, I could do another level. Like I could finish off this boss. And then it's like, oh, it opens up a new area. And it's like, I want to explore this a little bit. And so you just keep going. Like it's just really well designed and addictive, and you wanting to kind of continue to progress in it. Super fun. It's on Game Pass. Works really well with the controller. I ended up playing it on PC, but I played it entirely with a Xbox One controller on my PC. So really, really cool, really fun. In a couple weeks, listen to the VG Club episode on it. But I was surprised. I was like, I was not looking forward to this at all. It was not one that I picked at all. Like when they throw up the options, it was like, this was not one I voted for, but
I've never heard of it. And I'm looking at screenshots and it looks pretty cool.
Yeah, really cool design to it. I don't know, the story's a little not great, but doesn't really matter because like it plays really fun. Also, the person that you're playing as, she kind of skates everywhere. Like you can walk, but like if you want to go a little bit faster, she has this kind of rollerblade ability that you're kind of like skating across clouds and across the surface. And all of it is kind of like trying to figure out ways to platform up to a new area to take out this kind of like goo. And then once you take out the goo, it unlocks a piece of the boss. And then once you unlock all the goo, it unlocks the boss for you to fight. And then the boss is in that one big area that, of where all the levels were. And then once you beat them, it unlocks a new area. And you can walk there, or you can like fast travel. They're all interconnected, so it's not really open world, but it's enough. Like if you want it to be an open world game, you can play it as that. It's kind of neat, and it's on Game Pass, so give it a go if any of that sounded interesting. That's it for what we've been playing, and we briefly talked about the Xbox Partner Showcase.
I have one more game.
Oh, you have another game. Oh, what do you got, Jeff?
A Game Pass game called Inscryption.
Oh, shit. Yes, I was going to ask you about this because you said it was spooky season game.
Yeah, it's a card game, but it has and I don't want to get too bogged down in the like mechanics of the card game because it's like really hard to explain and boring to listen to. But the basics of it is like you're moving a piece around a board, like kind of like a board game. And you go to first space, and I'll let you pick a card. You go to the next space, I'll let you upgrade a card. You go to another space, and I'll let you whatever, right? Then you get to a boss, and you fight a boss. And it's you and the spooky, shadowy figure on the other side of the table playing a card game. And the basic idea is, like, you're throwing out cards to fight each other. And then once you have all your cards up, you ring a bell, and the cards get to fight. And the cards have like stats on them, like you throw out a snake, or I'm just giving random made up examples. Right. A snake, it has it does 1 damage, and it has 2 health, and you face it across an enemy, right? You place all your cards, you hit ring the bell, and whatever cards survive. It's very very basic. Like I don't want to get in that stuff, but like. But yeah, it's kind of like I've never been into like the like video game card games, like what do they call them, like building whatever
collectible card games, like deck builders.
Yeah, but like Balatro was kind of like a gateway drug for me because I love poker.
Yeah.
And I'll give it a chance. It's not really my genre. I'll give it a chance. And like what surprised me most of this first is like how much atmosphere there is around it, like because Balatro is very much just like video poker. There's not it's not this is like you're sitting in the spooky cabin playing against this guy, and you can actually like get up from the table and walk around the room in first person, and there's like things to do in the room. Like there's like a safe, you have to figure out the code for the safe. There's like other secrets and shit, and like that, builds your deck, and that is interesting. I think it's pretty cool. I am having trouble getting it. Like,
okay,
I've keep making. I could easily cruise past the first boss, like the first big boss.
Yeah,
so the first. And I made it to the end of the second level like a million times, and I finally beat the boss at the end of the second level, and then quickly died in the third level. And I'm just like, okay, well, same thing with like Balatro. It's like I could get to round 6, but Anyways, that's all I've really experienced of it. I think it's really cool. I'm semi-addicted to it. Like when I have nothing else to play, I just start messing around with that. But I heard there's like even than the fact that you can get up from the table.
Yeah. So
can I say a big spoiler for?
Yeah. Go. My understanding is that like there's a point in the game where it changes from that card game to something completely different. So, yeah, if you have a spoiler, go ahead. I don't think
Your voice got garbled for a second, but I think I heard you say like it starts as a card game, but it gets completely different.
Yes.
Yeah, so I don't know, like what I read, and this is all I read. I didn't want to read further because I didn't want to spoil it more. Is I read that after the fourth boss, it's no longer a roguelike. So I'm like, does that mean it's still kind of the same game, but you keep your progress? Or does it go like even more wild? I have no idea. I didn't look further into it.
Huh.
But as the intro part of it, that's the this roguelike card game, I found pretty easy to like learn, but I'm having trouble getting good at it. Which, like any good game like this, that's how it should be, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you know, a lot of atmosphere and yeah, it's just kind of got its hooks in me. I just feel like I keep banging my head against a wall with it, but I'm still like, it's just neat enough that I keep going back. Because again, a run could be like, I don't know, 10, 20 minutes. Okay. Oh, well, it was just like something to play before bed or something, right?
Yeah.
I'd say to anybody here, because we all have Game Pass, like I would say give Inscryption a chance. Like give it an hour of your time, and I think you'll see at least what I see in it. Like that there's something here. Like there's a reason why apparently, like back when it came out, there was a lot of people pushing for it to be like Game of the Year or whatever, because there's just something to it, and it just has that classic like board game appeal where it's just like you remember like the first time you played Splendor, you're like, yeah, this is a game that should exist. Like this is neat, and like this should like be lasting, and I think people who would play this would love it. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
that's all about Inscryption. But the thing is, again, I still suck at it so much. So we'll see. It's free, so give it a shot.
Yeah, I downloaded it after you said you had been playing it. I was like, that's one I heard good things about, and you were saying you were having fun with it, so I put it on my PC and I'm ready to give it a go.
Let me tell you one more thing, just a little fun thing about it. So like I said, you throw in cards out, you ring a bell, the cards fight each other, and you see where you end up. Well, whoever wins that, like, you know, one round of the match, there's like this scale on the side, like, you know, like one of those scale of justice type things, like where and but the way you win is like you make the scale all the way down on their side. And one of the items that you could get, like just like an item you could use to help you to your advantage, is pliers. You could pull one of your teeth out with the pliers and throw it on his side of the scale.
You could just like overweigh it.
Yes, by ripping one of your teeth out.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm interested to give it a go. Earl, that seems like it might be up your alley.
Yeah, I might give it a try. It is on the path, right?
This is not for like this year's game of the year discussion. I just really feel like everyone here would, like, the same way I felt about Balatro, where I'm like, everyone here would find some sort of appeal to this. That's kind of how I feel about this.
Well, I definitely did like Balatro. I know this isn't that, but
I don't, because Balatro, you have the built-in knowledge of poker, I think. Like, I'd still pick Balatro over this, but like this has all these things around it that make it more of a video game, if that makes sense. Like, or more of like just something more. Like, there's atmosphere to it. Like, it's neat.
Yeah, but Balatro is very much like, you know, even though it's not video poker, it's video poker. Like,
this has modifiers and shit.
Yeah.
This has like, there's one card that every time you play him, the card speaks to you. He has something to say. He's like, very bad. Would you do that? Like, that card always has something to say. Like, I was just like, that's neat. Like,
like I wish you'd be more helpful than just telling me I did a shitty move.
Or he'll be like, or he'll be like, don't play me. Don't play me. Please don't pick me. and then you throw him out, and he'll be like, keep me alive, please keep me alive. And so like it just has so much personality in that I have. Blatcho is just here's poker, you know.
That's neat. I haven't installed. Will give it a go over the last couple weeks of October.
Give it an hour of your time. I think you'll enjoy it.
All right, will do. News wise, as I said, we've already touched on the Xbox showcase, partner showcase. Not much really came out of there. Anybody else see any news this week?
Was there news this week? I mean, in Jeff's world, Banjo Tooie's coming to NSO next week.
One Direction.
But that's that video game news.
Different news.
What happened this week? Was it just a super quiet week?
Yeah, I don't think there was anything like super big that kind of jumped out at me.
I mean, there was
There's
a
usually-
Pokemon League, but I don't.
I'm bad. I'm bad at keeping up with like video game news, but like nothing jumped out at me at all. Or
Yeah, normally like something like if there's something big, it'll hit and like we all kind of like catch a whiff of it at least. And it seemed like it was a quiet news week for game wise.
Yeah, like I said, I think the biggest thing I know, and then again, it's not news, was the Pokemon League that's been going on all week. And honestly speaking, from what I gather, most of it is like you are a diehard Pokemon fan to like see like pre-versions of certain Pokemon or features that were going to be introduced or not introduced at area points. I mean, I guess from that Xbox thing, that co-op controls spinoff.
Yes, that was. I'll give you a name in a second. Give me 1 second.
It's like FBC, right? Or something.
FBC Firebreak. So it takes place in the Control universe. It's a 3-person co-op shooter. Looks interesting enough.
Yeah.
That was like and one more thing from the Xbox showcase. That is coming to Game Pass though, so that could be fun, I guess.
Oh man, I'm sorry. I really, I honestly, like, it does not seem like anything happened this week, which can't be right. But yeah, I don't know anything that kind of. Yeah, I guess we can take it home early to this week.
Yeah, it was a light week for news. Nothing much going on with PlayStation. I guess one thing that I've caught on multiple podcasts over the week is that you could still go pre-order a PlayStation 5 Pro.
Yeah.
Directly from Microsoft, not Microsoft, from Sony. That would check out that you could get it directly from Microsoft. No, from Sony, from the PlayStation Direct, you can just go on and pre-order a PS5 Pro if you still want one, which is much different than how the PS5 originally launched. So
yeah, I mean, I think a few people said that, and folks are like, "Oh no, it's gonna sell." I'm like, "Yeah, I don't think it's gonna sell out." There's no reason for it, and it's still weird. It's not tied to any like software launching with it.
yeah, I think that might be more of the strain on why it's not selling out, because there's no big piece of software to go along with it. You don't need it for anything. So the people that want it are the ones that are just like, I want the best hardware that I can get. Like those people are maybe a little limited in what's out there. I don't think. Evidently, the PS4 Pro was not like a giant seller either. I just thought it was. I guess I thought it was better selling than it was, but the PS5 Pro seems even less needed than that because there's no software for it. So
I am very curious. between like that and like the Xbox, like how much of like these mid-gen refreshes are really just selling to people like us who are like we already had the system, but this is slightly prettier, or I think for Xbox it's like bigger internal storage or something like that. But like,
The Xbox was it the One X, Tony? Was that the mid
yeah,
fresh? Yeah.
Yeah.
That one was that significantly upped the power of the Xbox. So like games that the Xbox One was struggled a little bit with some of the games that came out last gen, and the One X was at least like, hey, this will make the shit play like you expect it to play.
Yeah.
The PS5 plays shit real well. Like I don't think anybody was like, oh, this is struggling.
I mean, Astrobot is one of the best looking and impressive graphics games I've played all year. So
Yeah. And it certainly did not need the Pro for that. Like
I don't know what Pro would add. Like I look at that game and look at the physics of all like the little like when you're walking around, there's like little dipping dots that you're walking through, and I'm like,
Mhm.
I don't see how this could get any better. Like the physics, the graphics, everything just looks so incredible.
So I don't know how much you guys like pay attention to YouTube and stuff, or if you like follow Digital Foundry at all.
Yeah.
But so they've been doing like some PS5 and PS5 Pro comparisons, and I know like watching on YouTube, especially like I watch a lot of YouTube on my phone at work.
Yeah.
So
But
so it's not
still.
exactly that's the thing. Like so they're like yeah like and they get into the nitty gritty and they're like actually showing you the details. It's like you're saying, and I don't doubt that the guys at Digital Foundry are actually telling the truth and being like, this is different, and like, this is why it's different, and like, here's the measurements. It's like, those look like the same fucking image.
Honestly, like I would say 50% of the time when they do those side by side image comparisons of stuff like that, I honestly sometimes think the older version looks better, like the lighting or something. Like
Yeah.
It's very minuscule difference anyways, but I'm like, I would choose the one that looks older, or that is on the older hardware. We're at the point that, like, I think we've been at this point for like a decade almost, where it's like, there's very little more you could do in terms of like making the graphics better. Like, I just, what else can you do? Like,
Yeah, shit's looked good since the Xbox One and PS4 came out.
I'd say even before that, in terms of mass market, I think the divergence and was really the 360, PS3, and the Wii. I mean, I
Sure.
think you had people who were just like, "Oh, this is fine. I can do with this." There's always going to be contingent of people, not necessarily us. I mean, I think we're closer to them than, but like the people who are going to need, I need my games at 8K, doing 240 frames per second, and if it dips even once to like 120 frames, I'm out of here.
I
There's
need
gonna
to
be
buy
those
the
type of
newer
people.
version.
Yes, but it's increasingly, it's a smaller part of the overall industry.
But,
I
or
remember saying it back in those days. It's like people talk about it, and like the best-selling games of that, like for all of its just the GTA 3 and Sane weren't like the best looking games. They were vast. They weren't great lookers. Minecraft's never been a looker. Fortnite's, I mean, it's gotten better. Wii
terrible.
Sports,
Terrible.
The best-selling game of this generation is literally a game that launched on the 360. Like GTA 5 is it's a game that came out on the 360 and the PS3.
And it still looks fine. It's still like, to me, it still looks fine.
Yeah, because
And think of like what were like the big selling points of like this new generation. It was like faster loading times and quick resume or you know what I mean? Like it's like it's stuff around the edges.
I will say this, Jeff and Earl, and so I have my 360 hooked up here, and there are games that aren't backwards compatible. So like when I'm doing these achievement hunts. Like I sometimes have to boot up my 360. Holy shit. The
Yeah,
load
I'm
times
sure.
on that, like it is night and day, like going from playing a 360 game on, and like that's the thing, right? Like the Xbox Series X can play 360 games if they're backwards compatible. The load times on the 360 versus the load times on the Series X and Series S are, oh my god, like it is. How did I wait for like a minute and a half? Like it just seems really long now. And it's like I'm saying like saying it out loud, it seems stupid. Like how did I wait a minute and a half to play my game? But like when you're playing it now,
it
it's just like
matters.
it loads immediately. It's so crazy. But that's like the biggest thing, right? Is just the
Yeah.
load times.
Yeah, but I mean, even to your point, it's a very fascinating development because, like, when you like Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Genesis didn't really have real times. That
Right.
was an
Correct. Yes.
introduction of like CD-based game. So it's like one of those things where, like, at first we were like, oh, you pop in a game, and then you pop in a game. We didn't even have like title screens. You'd be in the game. And then it was like, okay, we accept real time. I mean, part of the reason the N64 stuck with cartridges is because of that. And then like yes, and then it got increasingly more and more where it's like, oh, like even back in the day, you see reviews of games, it's like, it takes a while to go, but like once it gets going, it's fine. And it's like you go and it's like, oh yeah, that initial load is like 3 minutes, and it's like, oh, okay, I'm gonna go like set up some coffee or something while this thing is
Yeah.
loading. And now, like, I think if we go back to 2020, 2021, I think that's what we were saying. Like, to us, the big next gen feature was quick resume. The ability for you to like, oh, I'm in the middle of the game. Life happens. Let me just like turn it off, do something, come back later tonight or tomorrow, pop it on, and it's in the same place. And it's like that's a godsend. That is a great feature, and that is to
Yeah.
me still the most
Absolutely.
next gen feature of this generation.
It's not.
Absolutely.
It's not nothing. I do miss the days though when you get a new system and it was like blowing your hair back. Where like
Oh yeah.
I remember playing like Call of Duty 2 on the Xbox 360 and being like, "Holy fucking shit!" Was it? It was 360, right?
Yep. Yep.
And just being like, "Wow, this is like leaps and bounds above what the Xbox could do." Or even a bigger jump was going from PS1 to PS2, and just be like, "Holy shit!" Or
Yeah.
I think the
I
biggest jump of
remember.
all, the biggest jump was 16-bit to like the 64. It's just like, holy fuck, dude.
Well, I think part of it too is, and I don't think this is a negative, is that because of the cost of games, it's just been harder and harder for people to fully just cut off previous generations. It's like this gen and last gen, and a lot of it started with a ton of cross-gen titles, where it's like, oh, this is coming out of PS3 and PS4, this is coming on Xbox
I just don't think
One.
there's that many more leaps and bounds to make. I
There
really don't.
isn't, but
And everything should be able to play, but like,
and then because the stuff we're at now is stuff that is kind of like it's nifty to have, but it's like, oh man, this ray trace. Like again, I hate picking on people with the grass and water, but it's like, yeah, it's nice to look at, but it doesn't add anything a lot of the time. It's
you
like,
don't
oh
notice it after an hour.
yeah,
You're like, if things are working well, you don't notice it. It's just, it's all
like the
right. Yeah,
ones
it's a pretty game.
like the ones that always get me are like whenever like games or gamers show off facial features, like, oh man, you get beads of sweat, you can see the wrinkles. I'm like, when the hell am I gonna be staring at their faces? Like the only time that really was a concern to me was LA Noir, and that was because it's and even then they had to make
Doubt.
certain stuff so obvious because you still needed a way for people to be able to tell when people were lying or fidgety and stuff like that. But other than that, I'm like, yeah, I'm not pausing the game that often. Like, oh man, you get the beads in her hair. Oh man, oh my gosh, that hair! Like you can see each individual strand. You can see a line of gram. Like I don't care.
I don't know. We're still talking about that game.
What I know.
Every year. No, we
We keep bringing it up.
Hey, listen, I was a fan of the
I am
concept.
too. What? You didn't like the game? I thought it was a cool game. I thought it was
I
game
like
of the year.
that game, man.
I think the game gets repetitious after a while. And I think maybe I'm mistaken. I thought it got stupid near the end. Or am I mistaken in that regard?
I think it got awesome near the end. Wasn't there? I don't know.
I think like the third act, like where you're running around, like where they're building houses, isn't great, but the story's good. But
Yes. And
It's
I
cool going around old LA and
Yeah.
how
And-
specific that was.
I also think, even though again, if you fail the mission, it sucks. I also like how they use like driving time as a vehicle for no pun intended for storytelling, where you and your partner would talk, and
Yeah, I mean
it's
that's Rockstar.
yeah. So it's stuff like that again, but again, that was the game, and I'm surprised there aren't more games that do stuff with that because so many people make a big deal about like you could see like the wrinkles on this, and I'm like, again, why do I have this kill sub? It does not do anything for me in the game.
correct. Yeah.
Anyways, where are we going? We're going to bed?
Very shortly. I did want to circle back to Earl talking about the quicker zoom. So I brought my Switch with me on my little trip to South Carolina this past weekend, and we got back to the hotel room. And I was like, I'm gonna play a little Zelda, and I was just like so fucking tired that like I did not make it very long into it. And I just pressed the power button on it, and then when I booted it back up when I got home, it was like right there. Like that is pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Like it is.
That is something you tell that to your 10-year-old self, they'd be like, "What?"
Yeah, like because
The whole thing.
like,
I can take my system with me. It's in my hand. I could fall asleep and start it again from where I was. It'd be like, "Whoa!"
and I assume all three of you are like similar to me. Like your 10-year-old self would be like, playing on your Super Nintendo, your Genesis, or your PlayStation
Turn
or
your TV
whatever.
off.
And you shut your
just leave it
TV
going.
off at night, and you go to bed, and you just leave it
Yeah.
on pause.
Yeah,
until
because
get
you're
up
like,
the next
I'm
day.
not losing this. This is the only
Yeah.
time I was gonna get past that boss after a million tries. Yeah.
Yep, I'm like right there, and there's no save point, but I can't. I'm like falling asleep. I know I can't do it. I got to go to
Even
bed.
the NES running for fucking 2 days.
Yep, it just
Trying to
like
beat the
runs
game.
because you go to school the next day. Like you go
Yeah.
to school and you come home.
And can you imagine? I can't remember any specific instances of this happening to me. Like someone like unplugs it or turns it off. Like your mom's
Oh my
cleaning.
Oh
Your
yeah,
mom's cleaning.
yeah.
Oh, you left your Nintendo on.
Or like the power cuts out. Like like it's just like yeah, like that being able to take like the devices that
these
we
days,
have now.
They
It was
don't
like,
understand.
holy hell, like you have no idea like the shit we went through to just like hold our spot in the game. The dumb shit we did to just do it because technology had not caught up to us yet. Yeah, kids today have no idea. Hate to be like, we're the old people, get off our lawn, but like, we went
so
through some shit.
Different, dude. It's been a long time since the 80s now, unfortunately.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's it. Let's call it a night here. We'll be back next week. I'm gonna play a little more Silent Hill 2. Jeff's gonna play a little more Diablo. Earl may finish Zelda.
Yeah, I'll finish Zelda.
Tony might get past the like first mission of Mechwarrior after the tutorial.
Who knows?
There's some stuff out there, so we're gonna play some games, and we'll be back next week. Jeff, say goodnight.
Good night.